it's Nicole. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you are a return user, thank you so much for stopping by yet again. So today I'm just going to be talking about how to combine cells together into one cell, showing the text or values that are in those cells into one. So for example, in this video, I'm going to be combining the month and the year just to make it super simple and transparent on how to do that. We're going to be using a really basic formula. I'm going to show you a couple different things to consider when doing this in case you just get stuck or you just need something really basic, added into the formula or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to run through that stuff with you. I'm going to highlight a couple things to consider at the end of this video. And yeah, let's get right into it. If you have any questions or I run through something and it just doesn't make sense, please let me know down below. I can always make a follow-up video for you specifically. Because it might help someone else as well. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the really basic formula we're going to be using. I'll show you a couple different ways to do this, but the first one is just to combine as is. So merge as is, I'm going to be referencing data in A and B. So these are the columns I'm going to be pulling from, and I want this information to be combined into a cell in column D for the first example. So all you're going to do is you're going to click on the cell that you want this new information to be in. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. I'm going to select my first cell, January. I'm going to go ahead and type in the and symbol. Then I'm going to go ahead and select the second cell that I want the information to pull from. So in this case, it's going to be B2 2024. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. As you can see, it's just showing it as is with no space right now. So I want to highlight something really quick in case you're watching this from an iPhone or you just are working off something that's touchscreen only and you're not able to actually go ahead and select these specific cells that you want to pull from. You can just type this information into this bar up here where you type in your functions. So let's say, for example, I'm not able to click on the actual cells. You can just go ahead and type enter A2 and B2 and go ahead and hit enter. So it does the same thing. You don't have to just click on it to put it in the formula. And I also want to note, if you are a beginner to Excel, entering the equal sign up here or in any cell will always indicate to Excel itself that you are going to go ahead and use a function. So it indicates that you're about to start a formula. Therefore, it's not just going to look at it as regular text. It's going to, signal to Excel, okay, this person's typing in a formula. And if they type in A2 or B2, it's going to start referencing, obviously, those cells in the corresponding workbook. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. So like I said, this kind of finishes the combine as is, merge as is, because all we were doing is just combining what is in A and B together into a cell without any sort of altercations. So if this is what you need and that's all you need, all you're going to do is come to the bottom right corner if you have additional data that you want this formula to apply to, and you're just going to go ahead and double click. So as you can see, this formula is basically corresponding with all the information that's down. So if you have tons and tons of data in multiple rows and you just want to copy the formula down, like I said, all you need to do is just come here and double click and it will stop copying the formula wherever your data stops. Okay, so the next one we want to talk about is merge with space. So let's say you want this to show January space 2024. We're going to go ahead and make an adjustment to the formula. So we're going to go ahead and type in equal sign, select January and symbol. So far it's the same as what we just did. And now this is where the change happens. So you're going to enter the quote symbol. You're going to hit the space bar, quote, and symbol. Then we're going to go ahead and select the year again and hit enter. So now we can see that we have a space here. That's what we did with the quote. All we were doing was just saying, okay, I want to insert a space here, and it's not in a cell itself. So we need the quotes to indicate that this is an addition that we're making outside of any cell that lives in this Excel workbook. Then you're going to go ahead, like I said, and hit enter. And if you want to apply this down, you're just going to go ahead and double click. So you may be wondering, why are we adding a space in the formula and not over here? The reason that we're not doing that is you can do that. So for example, watch this cell right here. So I'm going to add a space. I'm going to hit enter. And you see how it shifted this over? So that is good temporarily, but I never advise to manipulate the actual values in the cell because it's blind to the naked eye. So you can't see if there's a difference. This may cause issues down the road if you're applying this information somewhere else. Now, if you're not applying this information somewhere else, it may not be the worst case scenario. It may not be, that big of an issue to add a space here. But, if you're using something that, is pattern based, and Excel does have a pattern for, like, for example, months, where I can kind of, automatically input months. So, like, for example, just to make this easy, let's say I want a space after January. I enter my space, and then I'm doing this. The space does not copy down below. Even though I wanted Excel to input these months for me, it does not actually add that space at the end, even though I had it typed in January. So it ignores that, even though I typed it in there, if that makes sense. I know that's a little bit more advanced for people that are newer to Excel, but that's why I don't like adding a space in your data columns, because one, it's you can't see it to the naked eye. And two, it's just a lot more clean and transparent when you can come to the formula and see, okay, yes, I added a space. Then you're not making any sort of alterations to the data itself, and I just think that's better to make sure you're not compromising anything. So yeah, that's how you do it with a space. If you, for whatever reason, want another space, you can do that too. Let's say we want 3 spaces. I'm going to come in this formula. I'm going to do 1, 2, enter, and now you have a wider space. So it's really up to you, whatever you want, whatever you feel like is more visually appealing, you can do that too. So let's say we want to merge with additional text. So let's say we want it to say data as of January 2024. We can do that as well. So all we need to do is type in the enter sign. We're going to go ahead and type in data as of. Don't forget the space at the end. Then we're going to do and now we're going to basically do the formula that we just did in the previous cell. Don't forget your additional space. And then you're going to go ahead and hit enter. So this is what your formula should look like. Data as of space and A2 and quotation mark space, quotation and B2. Data as of January 2024. Now you can just copy that formula down below. So now we have data as of plus whatever we have in the cell, space 2024. The next thing I want to talk about is merging with a locked formula. So this one is complicated if you're new to Excel, but it's really, really important, especially if you're working with different formulas, or you're working on workbooks that maybe you didn't develop and there's formulas in there. It's so important to understand what locked formulas are. I should honestly make a separate video about this, but I just want to run through this in this video in case you are working with a really extensive data set and you have something that really only needs to reference a single number. It can, reference the same number and have a constant in the formula. So let me explain what I mean, because that was kind of confusing. So let's say I have tons and tons of data, right? And I have 2024 in this cell, and all the formulas that I'm going to apply are going to have 2024 in it. This is not something that needs to change. It's not going to adjust as I drag the formula down. It's just always going to say 2024. So let's say, for example, we don't have 2024 here, right? So we don't have 2024 here. We just want 2024 in I6 to be referenced in that formula every single time. This is what we're going to do. We're going to come in the cell. We're going to hit enter. Go ahead and select January. So A2, you're going to hit and. We're going to go ahead and add the space. And then we're going to come to this formula, or not formula, this cell in I6 where the 2024 is. And this is what we want this formula to reference every single time, regardless of where it is in the workbook. So if this is the case, we want to lock this formula to ensure that it will never adjust this cell within this formula. So in order to do that, you can just go right before the I, you're going to hit the $, and you're going to hit the $sign after the 6. So what this does is it locks this formula. So when I copy this down, you can see that it's always referencing I6, regardless of where we put it. So let's say I'm going to drag this over. Oops. I'm going to drag this formula over. As you can see, now it's showing 2024, 2024. And you may be saying, why is that? That makes no sense. Well, it's because we didn't lock the first part of the formula. So you see how A2, so A is your column, 2 is your row, A2 is not locked. So if we move this formula down, it's going to go down a row. If we move it over one, it's going to go over a column. So your direction of your column is going to indicate, the direction of your formula, wherever you move it, is going to indicate how the formula moves as well, unless you lock those values, in which case it will always keep that cell constant. So that's why you see down here, for example, when I dragged this over, it's now referencing B12 instead of A12 because we moved the formula over one, right? But we still had I6 locked in the formula. So I6 is always going to be there regardless. So I don't know if that makes sense, but for example, when we move this over, these formulas are a bunch of just like random stuff, but I just want to prove my point that 2024 is always going to be at the end then. It's moving these formulas over one, but it's always keeping I6 as the constant. So that's what a locked formula does. If you don't want to have, repetitive information in a cell like a year, 2024, it's like, why have that in your spreadsheet 1,000 times if you only need it to reference 2024 from the same cell? I mean, then just type it in a cell and then just lock it. That's what I do a lot of times if I don't kind of want the redundancy, because it is important to limit repetitive data if it's not useful. So so that's kind of what it means to work with a locked formula. There's other things to consider when it comes to working with these formulas. If you're new to Excel, I want to say a couple of things. And the first one is that your order of your formula does not matter in the sense, okay, so let me say that backwards. The order of your formula can be whatever you want it to be. So you get to decide what order am I going to place these things in. So like, for example, if I want 2024 to come before January, I can do that. All I need to do is select 2024 before January, and then I have 2024 January. I don't have to like cut and paste, and I don't have to put B before A in order for me to do this. You can adjust the formula however you want it. You don't have to go left to right. If I want, for example, if I want whatever is in this formula to come, and then I want data of, this obviously doesn't make sense, but let's say I want this order, you can do that. So you are in control of what order you want the information to show, and you don't have to have these columns in the same order of that. That's what's so nice about Excel, is you don't have to have that sort of structure. So hopefully that makes sense. Locked formulas, we already talked about that. I really wanted to make sure I touched on that in case you're working with a super large data set and you just need some sort of constant. And another thing to know about Excel, and I should honestly just talk about this in another video, but Excel is a blank canvas. It's really what you make it. You can make it as complicated and intricate as you want, or you can make it as simple as possible. But it is essentially a clean slate for you to do whatever you want. There are so many ways to do the same formula, so many ways to get the same value using different functions that Excel has to offer. It's just important to play around with it. And the good thing is, like, you can always undo it. It's not like you're working with something crazy where you're not capable of undoing it. So I encourage anyone that's new to Excel to just try it out, play with it, figure out what works for you, because some of these tips in this video, you may over time learn that something else works better for you or the data set that you're working with, and that's totally fine. And honestly, I would love to hear about those things because I'm still learning. I've been working in Excel for over 4 years for my job, and I'm still learning things on a daily basis. And that's what makes it really cool, though, because it's just never-ending learning, and there's so many different things you can do in Excel, which are really exciting. So anyways, that is all I had for you today. If you found this video helpful, please let me know. I really love making these tutorials. I think they're super fun, and I honestly love helping other people understand Excel more, because it can be a little bit challenging to understand when you're first starting with it. But yeah, if you have any other questions regarding what I covered, please let me know. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you back here again sometime. Thanks. Bye.